This full moon in Scorpio is going to be testing our boundaries and where our self worth really lies. Self worth and boundaries correlate with each other. The more self worth you have, idealistically, you set up more boundaries with people, especially if these people are not honoring who you are authentically. So, this Scorpio full moon, that Scorpio, it's about digging deep, finding out our self worth and putting up a boundary. This boundary might come out of nowhere because we have it squaring Pluto. Pluto is what's hidden, deep and dark. So when it's squaring, it's creating tension. So the square with Pluto is creating tension to this full moon. Full moon is enlightening. Full moon will shine a light on things that need to be fixed so you can fix it and move forward. So what's going to happen is this square with Pluto, something deep inside of us might come out. It might not be that deep anymore. You might have an idea of what it is that you have been meaning to say, or the boundary you've been meaning to put up. But this Pluto square is being like, hey, this is inside of us. We all have dark and light inside of us. So let's bring it forward. Because of the boundaries being put in place through us and realizing our self worth, I'm going to talk about two things for each rising sign. One, where the boundary is going to take place, and where your motivation is coming from for this boundary, because we have the house that Scorpio sits in for you. That is like the theme of the boundaries. And then we have the house that Pluto sits in. Pluto is that square and that tension to this full moon. And this is what's motivating you to be like, basically word vomit and be like, oh my gosh, this is what I deserve. This is what I'm worth. This is my boundary. Aries rising, this is happening in your eighth house of intimacy, shared resources, investments, inheritance, death, the occult. The eighth house is just a plethora of things. And what's great about the eighth house is it is ruled by Scorpio. So it has that dark, intense feelingness to it. And you have a boundary there. So there's a boundary that involves the eighth house. So it might be a boundary with your intimacy, where you don't want to get that close to a certain person, but that person is trying to get close with you. They are trying to invade your personal space. And it might even be a boundary with your finances with somebody else. You might be married and you might be like, you know what, I actually need this boundary with this financial endeavor that I'm going to be doing or going to be taking. Like if you were starting a business and your other partner was like, no, we don't have money for that. And you're like, you know what? We do have money for that because this is my finances too. And I am going to take charge of my life. Where your motivation is going to take place is going to be in your 11th house. This represents communities you belong to. It's your hopes and dreams. I really, truly believe it's a lot of Aries rising's hopes and dreams is where your motivation is coming from, where you're realizing your self worth, your dreams matter, what you want and what you desire matter. So for Aries rising, it's going to involve your motivation in the 11th house. That's what's motivating you, your hopes and dreams. And then it's going to be your boundary is going to involve the intimacy of that eighth house there. Taurus rising, your full moon is taking place in your seventh house of partnerships and relationships. These relationships can be romantic, they can be platonic, but just as a whole, who do you associate yourself with daily life? Like, who is your partnerships? Who are your relationships? Who's in your life right now? And this is where this boundary is going to set up, because you have motivation is happening in your 10th house, a public image and career. So right now, Taurus, you guys like might have something happening with your career, and that you need to establish like your self-worth, a boundary, like, no, I have to get this done. This is for me. This career is for me. This isn't for anybody else but me. And I need to set up a boundary with my partner. I need to set up a boundary with my family, my friends, on getting stuff done. I could really see this playing out as a way of, like, say you're a Taurus starting your career, right? And you're starting a new career path and you're so excited about it, and all you want to do is talk about it, and you want to just get into it. You want to get into your career and you want to talk about it with your family and friends, but all your family and friends or your relationships, what they want to do is they want to go out drinking. They want to party, but you're trying to get your shit together and you're trying to be serious. So I could see a boundary being put up between you and your relationships in order to focus more on yourself and your public image and your career and how you want to be seen. So Taurus rising, it's a very interesting. You're going to have to let me know, because with it happening in your seventh house of partnerships and relationships, it can go so many different ways. But I do see your motivation as being your career and you wanting to be on your own, stand on your own, and just really go after something that you love and that you desire. Gemini rising, this full moon in Scorpio is going to be happening in your sixth house. Sixth house involves daily routines, your coworkers, your pets, your physical health as well. And your motivation and where that's coming from, because the boundary you're going to set is going to involve everything in the sixth house. The motivation is in the ninth house. What's motivating you, Gemini risings, is your growth, your higher education. Maybe you're just trying to expand your horizons right now. And that might involve putting a boundary with yourself, with your daily routine. In order to get things done in which you would love to get done, you need to stick to a schedule. You need to have a boundary and be like, you know what? I am going to work out today, because today I just know if I work out, if I move my body, I know that I am going to feel good, and the epiphanies are going to come when it involves my growth and expansion. And I really truly feel that, Gemini risings, that it might not just involve yourself, it might involve other people trying to kind of mess up your routine here, trying to get in the way of your daily routine and how you're living your life so that you can live it on a higher level, because the ninth house is all about expansion. That's all the ninth house is about, is expanding your education, expanding your travel, expanding your spirituality as well. Ninth house involves spirituality. So Gemini risings, I find this very interesting. You'll have to let me know how this plays out for you and what type of boundary or and self-worth that you came to realize about yourself. Like, hey, like it might be to a point like you're like, hey, I am worth it. I am worth living my life and my daily routine how I choose to live for my higher self. I am worth it. I am worth that. So I'm going to put up a boundary and say, no, guess what? I am not going to, I don't know, eat a big bag of potato chips for dinner. I am going to choose to eat nutrition and make myself feel good so that I can keep up the stamina that I need to pursue my higher education, to travel long distances. So it's very interesting for Gemini rising. Okay, Cancer rising, this full moon in Scorpio is going to take place in your fifth house. Fifth house is creativity, joy, pleasure, children as well, and where your motivation is going to be coming from. So the fifth house is where you're going to be setting that boundary. I could see yourself setting a boundary within your creativity and within your pleasure. Like, you know what? I don't like to do that. This is actually who I am, and this is what I like to do. And what is motivating you is the eighth house. The eighth house is intense change and transformation. It's almost like Cancer risings, I see you guys finding self-worth in your change. Like, I am worth this change. I am worth this movement. I am worth feeling amazing and transforming myself to my higher self. I am worth this transformation. And the boundary you'll end up putting up, and actually you might put a boundary up if you have kids. You might put a boundary up with your children. I mean, depending on how old they are. I mean, boundaries can be put up no matter what age, right? We teach our children boundaries. But you could put a boundary up with a child, like, hey, you know what? Um, Mom and dad really need to get this done. I need to get this done for me. I need to do this creative project for me. This is my job. This is my work. This is what I choose. This is my passion. This is my creativity. And this is where I need to have an outlet. I need to spend time. I need to get creative. I need to get into it. And you will set up a boundary when it involves your creative endeavors. And like I said, motivation is that extreme change. And you know what, Cancer rising, I feel like you guys have had it tough. Have it had it tough with a lot of aspects going on just this year alone. And I truly feel like that this full moon in Scorpio is going to transform your life when in the biggest positive way. When you embrace the change and decide not to have any fear of the unknown, and just go into it, you're going to realize all these epiphanies when it comes to what you love to do creatively, what you love to pursue, and just tap into that creative side, that emotional side. I mean, Scorpio full moons, like, they are emotional. So what creative endeavors bring you emotion? And just kind of lead from there. You'll have to let me know, Cancer risings, how this plays out and what boundary you're trying to set, because your guys's is a fun one. It's a creative one. Virgo rising, this full moon is happening. Full moon in Scorpio is happening in your third house of communication, your mind, short trips. And I feel like this boundary where Virgo risings is going to come in place is just like, I feel like Virgos always want to help. They want to help other people. They want to be of service to other people. And I feel like that when you're in service to other people so much, you forget about taking care of yourself. So I feel like there's going to be a boundary in communication and how that you communicate with other people, or how you allow other people to communicate with you. And it's interesting because basically the motivation for you guys is going to be in the sixth house, which is daily routines. And I believe that you're transforming how you spend your time, Virgo rising. You're transforming on what time means to you and your valuable time. And how that's going to play with the boundary you're going to put in communication is, I could see this playing out like this, like, wow, I really love my routines. Wow, I wake up every day, I have a cup of coffee, I get into my job, I put my phone on silent, I'm at work, and my friend calls me 12 times during the day and expects me to answer when I have things going on that are important to me and what I value. And you might have to have a conversation with your friend and be like, hey, guess what? I really love that you want to talk to me all the time because we're friends. But at the same time, I also need to focus on me. And so our communication, boundary on communication, needs to be more limited. And also, the third house does involve siblings. So I could see some of you guys putting a boundary up with siblings as well. And I don't know, you'll just have to let me know how it works, because a boundary in communication, that's so vast. It can mean so many things. But I do feel like that's because you, Virgo rising, you're honoring your time more, you're honoring your routine, you're honoring what's important to you, and you're filling your cup up first before you fill other people's cups up. Because I know, Virgos, I know you love to help, but you got to fill your cup up first before you can help other people. Leo rising, you have your full moon in Scorpio in the fourth house of family, home life, self care. The boundary you're going to be setting up, I could see a lot of it be with family, just putting that boundary in place. Maybe something to do with your mother. The fourth house does rule like the mother as well. So some of you could be putting up a boundary with your mother at this time and being like, hey, no, you know what? Like, this is not what I like. This is not what I like. And what's interesting is your motivation is the seventh house of partnerships and relationships. So what's motivating you is to change the dynamic in which that you relate to other people and how other people relate to you, because you have this newfound self-worth. And it also has to do with the boundary. The fourth house is self-care. So if you take care of yourself and you're just kind of like, you know what, this is how I treat myself, and I realize all these other people are not treating me the way I treat myself. So why would I continue to offer them all of me? I need to put up a boundary. I need to put up a boundary because my partnerships, my relationships are important to me, but they're also important to you to do it in a way that you're energetically getting back the same that you're putting out. And family, home life, self-care, it's going to be an interesting one for Leo risings because it can involve a lot of things. There's a lot of dynamic, there's a lot of things in the fourth house, and the fourth house can feel pretty heavy sometimes to some people, especially if you have like Pluto placements there, a Chiron placement there. It is a heavier house. So this boundary and this transformation that you're making is going to just be amazing. You're going to feel lighter, and you're going to feel way more amazing when you put that boundary in place when it involves your home and who you are and what home means to you. What does home mean to you? And who reflects what home means to you in your life, Leo rising? Libra rising, this Scorpio full moon is happening in your second house. It's your finances, your self-worth, your resources. And I feel like the boundary you guys are going to be putting up has to do with, honestly, it might be your finances. Like, no, I can't spend money there. I shouldn't be doing that. That's not well worth my time. My self-worth is way more important than making that money. It could go that way too. It's like, I value myself and what I need more than money. I feel that could be going for a lot of Libra risings right now. And what's transforming you, or what's giving you motivation, is honestly, it's in the fifth house. It's your creativity, your projects, like your creative projects, what actually gives you joy. So what are you spending money on? Like, I could see this playing out in a way, Libra risings, where you're like, you know what, I used to love going to the gym, right? And so I was spending money on going to the gym, I was doing personal trainers, all of that. But you know what, that doesn't give me joy. What gives me joy is moving my body by hiking or playing tennis, or things that are free, honestly. Like, I enjoy doing activities that involve free activities more than I enjoyed going to this gym, paying for this personal trainer. So you end up cutting out the personal trainer and cutting out the gym, getting rid of that financial obligation. And you, because you're like, you know what, like, I love, this is what I actually love, this is how I actually like to move my body. So in turn, you're going to transform, because that's what gives you joy, and then set that boundary there and kind of shed that financial obligation. It can play out in a lot of ways, because the second house does represent our self-worth as well. So it doesn't have to be anything involving finances. It could literally be something as simple as, you know what, I am worth more. I am worth more money. This creative project that I've spent years doing, like, say you're an artist and you have these paintings and you've been selling them for $30 a pop for so long, right? It's like, you know what, those paintings are worth like $250, they're worth $500, whatever it may be. But you have a new sense of self-worth within yourself, which in turn raises your financial stuff. Financial stuff. It raises your finances. But yeah, Libra rising, you'll have to let me know how it goes for you guys. Scorpio risings, this is happening in the first house of self. The first house of self involves your physical appearance, how other people perceive you, how you approach your day to day life. So there's going to be a huge self worth moment involving just who you are. And this is so exciting for you. This full moon's also at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So if your ascendant's at 4 degrees, or if you have any planets in 4 degrees, it could amplify the effect of this self-worth moment for you guys. Your transformation, honestly, or where your motivation is coming from, is in the fourth house. So it's family, home life, self-care. I could really see this playing out for a lot of Scorpios, in where you are motivated to take care of yourself. You realize that home comes from within and not your external forces, and you're like, you know what, I really need to take care of myself. And it may be something as simple as self-care, like, getting your, like, being like, I deserve to get my hair done, I deserve to have my nails done. And in turn, your boundary that you put with yourself is involving your ascendant, which is your physical appearance. The boundary you're putting in is, you know what, I am worth looking how I choose to look. I am worth feeling fabulous. I am worth looking fabulous. There are tons of ways this play out, but just remember, your motivation is in your family, your home life, and your roots and your self-care. And then you're going to be setting a boundary in the first house of self. Scorpio risings, please let me know how this works out for you, because I am super curious about this one for you guys, because there's a lot of options. So you'll have to let me know. Sagittarius rising, this full moon in Scorpio is going to be happening in the 12th house. 12th house involves your mental health, how you think about yourself, how you perceive yourself. And then your motivation, and where your motivation is going to be coming from, is going to be in the third house of communication. I really truly feel like Sagittarius risings, this is a really personal full moon in Scorpio, because the 12th house are things that are hidden within ourselves. We don't show a lot of people our 12th house placements when we have them, especially if you have a lot of planets in the 12th house. It could even be that more transformative for you. But I could see this playing out in a way of you setting a boundary when it comes to how you think about and how you communicate with yourself, because you have your motivation. Your motivation is communication in the third house of communication. So setting that boundary within yourself, being like, you know what, I'm not going to talk about myself like that anymore. I'm done. I am worth more. My self-worth, I am worth more than calling myself stupid, right? Like, if you make a mistake and you drop something, and in your head, subconsciously, you're always saying, wow, that was stupid. Wow, that was stupid. When we say those things over and over to ourselves, we're going to subconsciously believe them. So I believe that something's going to trigger inside of you, Sagittarius rising, and you're going to be like, no, You're going to be like, nope, I'm not talking to myself that way anymore. I have more self worth. And when we change our perceptions within ourselves, our outer world, the frequency needs to match the frequency we have inside, Sagittarius. So this transformation for you guys is really mental. It's really in your head. It involves two mental houses, your mental health in the 12th and communication, your mind in the 3rd house. So you'll have to let me know, Sagittarius, how it works out for you. I'm super curious. Capricorn rising, this boundary is going to take place in your 11th house. 11th house involves communities, it involves your hopes and dreams, and your motivation is in the 2nd house. Your motivation, in my mind, is literally like your self worth. Like, literally, like what you believe on this earth you are worth is your motivation. Because you Capricorns, you guys are such analytical thinkers. You really like take a step back and you view the situation for what it is, and you really have a strong sense of who you are. But I do believe something's going to come up involving a community you're involved in, or involving your hopes and dreams, of which you thought this was your hope and dream. But you know what? Like, when you realize your self-worth, you're like, you know what? I'm not dreaming big enough. I got to go bigger. I deserve bigger. I really believe these Capricorns, or in your community, you could be setting up a boundary, like realizing you don't want to be a part of a community anymore. And you need to set boundaries in place so that you can follow your own hopes and dreams. Say you're involved into a community right now and you're in this like community and they aren't treating you well. And you realize, you know what? You're not treating me well in this community. I realize my self worth. I'm out. Not my community anymore. I'm moving on. You'll have to let me know, Capricorn risings, how this resonates and what you guys are going through, because this is definitely an interesting one. Aquarius rising, this full moon in Scorpio is happening in your 10th house of public image and career. And you know what's interesting is your motivation is happening in the 1st house, which involves the house of self and your physical appearance. And I think the boundary you're going to set place is going to involve your public image in your career. And the boundary, I believe, Aquarius risings, is going to be involve yourself. It's going to be like kind of this, you know what? This is the career I want to go for. This is the career that I want to go towards. And in order to go towards this career, there is a certain perception of maybe physical appearance or how other people see you that you need to switch up. You're like, you know what? Like, I'm worth more than that. I'm worth to wear the fancy outfit, like, and in the corporate meetings and jobs, and I'm worth that. Like, I could see this as like an Aquarius rising. This is just an example. Say you're trying to change your career right now, or trying to add to your career right now, and you are like kind of transforming yourself into a new public image. And in order to do that, you're like, I need to go shopping. I need to transform myself. I am worth it. I need a me day. I need to go out and buy all these outfits so I feel good, because about my public image and career. And you're just like, I'm worth it. I am worth that new shirt. I am worth that new dress. Whatever you do, that's one way it can play out. But a boundary will happen in your self-worth in the 10th house of your public image and career, and your motivation is you, Aquarius risings. You'll have to let me know how it works out. Pisces rising, this full moon in Scorpio is taking place in your 9th house. 9th house is higher education, foreign travel, spirituality. The 9th house represents growth, basically. And where you guys are getting your motivation to grow in this house, it has to do with your subconscious. It's in the 12th house. So, subconscious, mental health, the way that you are talking to yourself. And I'm going to use this as an example. Might not relate to all, but say you have been wanting to take this course and you've been wanting to further your education in some way, but for some reason you're like, I'm not smart enough. I don't believe that I'm smart enough to pull this off. I don't think I can do it. This is going to change, okay? Your perception of who you think about yourself, your mental health, the 12th house, the way you are talking to yourself is going to change. And in turn, you're going to set up a boundary in the 9th house. Like, you know what? I am worth this education. I am worth this course. I need to make time for this course because I am worth it and I am not stupid and I deserve this. And I believe that's where that's going to kind of come from, is your mental health, something in your perception is going to change. And in turn, you are going to grow, you are going to expand, and you are going to take that risk, Pisces rising. you're gonna have to let me know how it works out. Thank you so much for watching my video. This is my first astrology video, so make sure to please subscribe to my channel if you're interested in astrology. I will be doing more videos like this. And comment below what your rising sign is and how you see this playing out for you. What is the boundary that's, you know, setting in place for you, and your self-worth? Like, where have you realized, like, you know what, I'm worth it, and setting up a boundary? And what your motivation is. What is your motivation? What's motivating you to be like, hey, you know what, I'm worth it? I'm super interested. So comment below, and thank you.